You go. Hey, everybody. Welcome to Marketing Mondays. Christopher, how are you?
Oh, well, how are you doing today?
I feel like I haven't seen you for weeks. When's the last time that I've seen you, actually? Was it when you left Montana
December?
after the mastermind?
Yes, I believe that is
It's been
correct.
literally 5 weeks since I've seen you, and you live 2 fucking miles away from me. That's crazy. Holy shit. By the way, I posted something on my stories this morning, and a million people have texted me, Chris. I said it was fun times. I would have said I was dying if I was dying, but those of you that sent me text messages and stuff, thank you very much. Just had a minor procedure this morning. One thing I do want to talk about before we jump in, Chris, is something that has to do with conversion rate optimization. I've had to get about 7 different listings up and running in the last 2 weeks for new properties. And one of the things that I am not doing is the room by room walkthrough setup, because it fucks up the way that the images render. You can't control your hero images or your first 5 images. So I know that it makes it easier for people when they're walking through our listings, for those of you that are out there, but please don't do that. Like, it's going to show a bedroom or a family room in your hero image. You got to have that outdoor photo. You got to have that pool shot, the shot of downtown, the beach, whatever it is, and you lose all control when you set that up. So just want to give you that tip. I am not using that right now. At some point, if they integrate to where I can have control over how they're rendering from the customer use standpoint, then I will go and use it. But I'm adding 3D renderings into the listings. I'm being very descriptive on exactly what room, main floor, master, main floor, en suite, that type of stuff. But I'm really thinking about conversion rate optimization. You can go all the way back to the early days of the STRnomics podcast with Kenny Bedwell from STR Insights, and Kenny had done some research about, using interior versus exterior photos. Now, one of the things I'll tell you, and I'm not going to say, who shot this house that I'm actually working on right now, but it really sucks because they didn't get good outdoor photos. And and when you hear me talk about this, I'm going to show them to Chris. And I'm going to tell you this: it was not Andrew Keller. Andrew was not available. He was actually in the OBX shooting 2 other properties for Bria and I when I had to get these done. And they're good, but they're not to Andrew Keller level. And I'm going to tell you, it's probably going to cost me an extra $2,500 because I've now got to get Andrew to come down and reshoot this property. Does that make sense, Chris? I mean, I want you guys to understand that when I talk about good photos, they got to be absolutely the best of the best. We're talking like Top Gun photos, right? We're talking like Supermodel Sports Illustrated cover shot versus me and Chris out there on a freaking desert island. That doesn't work. So you have good, better, best in our performance. We have good, better, best in our properties. We have good, better, best. There's nothing more important outside of the staging than with the photos and the quality that we're taking. And you're a photographer, Chris. Do you have anything to add to that before we jump into the next stuff?
No, I think, and we've talked about photos a lot on Marketing Mondays. I think it's because it's such a pivotal part, not just in the listing side and that optimization, but also on landing pages and other marketing materials or social media content. And there's a big difference between an amazing photo and an average photo. And it's not just something that's like, there are times that, like, as a photographer, I'm like, okay, that's an okay photo. When you talk about like senior portraits or something like that, like, you can see those things that most people wouldn't notice. But for properties especially, you can tell the difference between, wow, that's an incredible photo, or yeah, that's an okay photo of an exterior of a certain amenity or of a bedroom. It's one of those rare places where the difference between good, great, and like above average, outstanding is like night and day between them. You can really tell
Good,
the difference.
better, and fucking amazing, right? Ours have to be fucking amazing. And I'm gonna tell you, as this photographer, and I am a little bit disappointed. He did a really good job inside, but he obviously doesn't have Andrew's skills outside. Does that make sense?
Yep.
And and what's really what I do really love is he actually used the rule of thirds, Chris. And you know how we see a lot of photos that have too much wall, too much ceiling, whatever. So like in the bedrooms, which get a little bit tight, sometimes depending on their size, he actually gave me 3 photos. He had like semi-close, normal, and then wide angle, right? To where I got to choose all from like each corner of the room. So like angle going towards the ensuite, angle going towards the headboard with the view of the view outside the window or sliding glass door. I'm not even going to say where it's at because I don't want people to think that he's a shitty photographer. He's not. And that's not what I'm saying. He's good and he did a great job inside, just not fucking amazing outside, right? So now I'm going to have to reshoot just the outside and try to coerce Andrew to fly down there for a day, or Chris to fly down there for really 2 days, because you got to be there for a sunrise and a sunset, right? And so that's a pretty big deal. Anyways, that's the important of the photos and how important they are. Somebody, Veronica asked, can you revert back? I have no idea if you can revert back. I don't know that yet, but I'm going to find out, because one of my other newer properties was set up that way. I didn't do the photos, and I have to see if we can turn that off and go back. Eric, Andrew's great. He shot our property a month ago, having him come back in the spring when the pool opens. Yeah, that's a great thing. Just whoever you use, and there's a bunch of great photographers. I just had great photos, Chris, taken of the new Montana condos for Zach and myself. And they turned out great, like awesome, like Andrew Keller level. And I'm not saying this, look, to promote Andrew, because the kid's like busy enough. He's making plenty of fucking money for being 21. Don't get me wrong, but that's the barometer that I've got to use for you guys so you fully understand.
No, I think it's something where, as we've hammered this home a lot, but it's one of those investments, just like putting what you're going to do for a couch or what you're going to do for in the kitchen. It's the same kind of investment. At least you need to think of it that way, into your marketing, your materials, your listing optimization, because it can make or break when someone's looking through. Because remember, the Airbnb is a search engine. And so when you're looking through the search engine and your result pops up, what's going to make them actually click, go in, look, read more, and then, because all the other stuff, when they're in Airbnb, they already picked their location, they already picked their date, so you have availability. It really is, are you the one that stands out from the crowd compared to everyone else? And, are you going to be the one that has the prom dress that everyone's talking about? Or are you going to be the one that's just average and in the back, and you're going to get dismissed even if you're on the front page? And so it's those little things that stand out. And it really is an investment into the listing, into the property, but also into all the other ancillary marketing things that come from having incredible photos or incredible video made.
Yeah, I mean, I agree 100%. And look, here's the reason that I talk about this so much. There's so many people that are so focused on direct bookings right now, right? And here's what I want you to understand. This is Airbnb, which is like Google. This is the possibility of your direct bookings, right? Especially if you haven't owned your property and have email lists to go back for 3, 4, 5 years. So understand, I'm not saying don't focus on direct bookings. I mean, we focus on direct bookings. Chris builds all of our pages. We use drone footage, video, all that stuff, Facebook ads, everything. But the absolute most important thing is that you're optimizing Airbnb and or VRBO, depending on the market that you're in. And you really should do both. A lot of people ask, well, hey, with listing optimization or listing SEO, whatever you want to call it, is there different strategies? Well, the only one that we can really even track and see what's happening on is going to be Airbnb, because of using something like RankBreeze, right? And tracking your rankings. You can try to test it on VRBO. The only place that I would test VRBO over Airbnb would be in Montana. I wouldn't do it at the beach. I'm not in any other markets to where VRBO dominates, but in Whitefish, Montana, VRBO is doing more than Airbnb. So that's the only place where I would try to do some testing, and I actually do, to be specific. But it comes back to the images. It's the most important thing in our listing. And now that I see these, I'm going to have to get those reshot. And I literally just saw them in the last 15, 20 minutes before we launched, Chris. So I haven't even had a chance, but I'm like literally going to text Andrew while you take over and start talking about landing pages. And when you talk about landing pages, you use the term landing page. I use the term sales page. It's really what it is a micro one-page website. That's what I want to make abundantly clear to everybody. And that's probably a term, Chris, because most of the people, in our community here aren't marketers like where we live and do that stuff. So really it's a one-page micro website, and there's structure that goes into it. And once again, getting back to images, you need amazing images to get people to say, holy shit, that looks absolutely amazing. Because if they don't think that in their head, whether it's on your Airbnb listing or on your direct booking single page website, they are not going to take the time to scroll and to read and to really dive in. So why don't you go ahead and talk about that for a few minutes?
Yeah, and it's made up
And by
of
the way,
other.
before you get started, everybody that's there, please jump in and say hello in the comments and let Chris and I know where you're from. I forgot to do that. I'm supposed to do that at the beginning, of every broadcast that we do because we want to engage with you. Just say hello and say, hey, I'm Bill from Nashville.
Yep, absolutely. So I'm going to share my screen. We're going to talk a little bit about kind of the structure of a landing page. But first, I actually got reminded during the first Inner Circle call.
Shit, I'm going to interrupt you again. I got to get the fucking drone from you today before I fly out tomorrow. So here's a perfect example, guys. This is a beautiful page, but when Chris and I were there and he's flying the drone, it's smoky.
It was smoky.
We had all the forest fires from Canada that were pushing down here, so that even though were you in 4K or 6K, with the drone, it doesn't render very well. So now I need to go by. I need to grab our drone. It's fully covered. The trees are flocked with snow. The lake is iced over. Everything's beautiful. I got to get that stuff now, and then I'll have Chris come back in the spring and reshoot again when we can hopefully get some clearer weather. This is good, and it was as good as Chris could provide because he can't do anything about the smoke. It's not like you can go in and edit that out. But now I need to get better, to be able to move into the summer.
Absolutely. But you notice the first thing you got drawn to was what's above the fold. I'll circle back real quick because at the last Inner Circle call, I started talking about landing pages and customer avatars, all this stuff. And I forget often that there's a lot of terminology we use in the marketing world, just like there's a lot of terminology we use in the short-term rental world that not everyone necessarily knows about when they're first getting into marketing or first getting into short-term rentals or anything else. And so I wanted to kind of circle back. You did a great job explaining what a landing page is. It really is a single one-page website, but I can get a little more specific with that. And actually, great job, Melissa. I'm going to offer a second STR today. It's not just a single-page website. It's a single-page website with a specific focus. There's no navigation, no anywhere else to go. There's not multiple areas of interest on it. It's designed to take you on a journey from top to bottom with the end result, and the only action being you either book or you leave. That's it. There's no other buttons to click, nowhere else to go, no other distractions along the way. And through that, there's multiple pieces or parts to it that kind of make a really stellar landing page. And we always get the conversation of, do I do a direct booking website? Do I do a landing page? Which ones use where? And I can actually show you a prime example of it, which is that this direct booking site this landing page is designed for Lodge 93 with the sole focus of an outdoor adventurer who's interested in things to do in Olney, Montana, and to be able to show off the unique assets of this property. Where I'll switch you to the Kiva site, which has all the properties on it. And you can kind of tell the difference. That one, it's designed to mimic AirBNB because that's typically how they all look. All the direct booking sites from OwnerRes to Guesty to Hospitable, all of them are designed to mimic Airbnb to the best of their ability. So when you actually click into an individual property, looks basically just like Airbnb looks, but look at all the things that you can click and move around. I can click all the properties, the map, availability, reviews. Each property has its own 8 things you can click on and read about before you even really get into any of the meat and potatoes content of what's happening. So the landing pages are designed to have focus, to allow you to have a single intent. And that's why if you commonly Google something, a company, the first page that appears is actually a sponsored link. It's typically a landing page for that company, not just the website or the core website itself, because they want you to be specific. Then, like Bill mentioned, you kind of get caught up in what's above the fold. It's old newspaper saying for when you get a newspaper and the fold happens and what's above the fold, what's on the front page, that's the most important stuff. Same thing for a landing page. I have the control of what's above the fold, whether it's a single image, or in this case, I'm able to use video, and really how that content presents itself. So before they even scroll, they're getting an overview or image of the property, what it's about. But I have control of other things too. I have control of how the words display, what's said. I have control over the button, how it interacts, what color it is, so it stands out drastically from the background. So all that's called conversion rate optimization, how things flow, how they work, the way colors work in different areas. It all goes into really building out a landing page. But like Bill mentioned, you're taking them on a journey. I'm able to be much more specific on highlighting specific things, using images in a unique way, actually diving deeper into the copy and not just saying the factual thing. So I've done landing page reviews and listing reviews a whole bunch of times. I focus a lot on the creative side, the writing and the images. But the writing, a lot of times we get into it and we're explaining things in using commas. Like there is, the kitchen that has this, comma, this, comma, this, comma, that. And my goal is to try and remove commas as much as possible and actually put full words, phrases, sentences in there. So you're not just saying, there's, kayaks and a hot tub and a barrel sauna that exists now. You're actually explaining and then sharing why someone wants to stay, giving them the reasoning behind it. And you're able to do that much more so with the landing page than you are with most direct booking sites, because you're able to be very, very specific, and the content's easy to update, which I'm actually going to show you in a second. But you can highlight things, you can draw attention to certain things, you can use images in a different way, highlight other things to do in the area, use some imagery to help with that, really show some features, some things to highlight. And I have full control, like Bill mentioned, you have full control over kind of how the images display, work, function, go back and forth between each other. So you really have control over how things are displayed and the order they go in, and you're able to tell and craft a true story. Focus on other things outdoors, share summer, winter, tell a little story about Bill and Bria, have some reviews in there, and then boom, you're able to have the booking widget. Obviously, all these buttons just boom, push you down to the booking widget. So a landing page truly is this in-depth shaping of it. And where do we use it? Where is the real difference? And this comes into how you advertise or market. And a lot of people don't necessarily think in that way. And so there are times that you'll post in a Facebook group, we're like, hey, this is our Airbnb link, this is our VRBO link, because those things have trust to them, right? People know what VRBO is, people know what Airbnb is, and there's trust that's associated with having a transaction through a platform. It's kind of like the difference between having hire a company with a plumber or hiring Joe Schmo down the hall that says they're a plumber, that kind of thing. Or I'm in a hall, it's my apartment complex. But it's the kind of difference between the two, right? Because you have some type of trust of there's a parent organization where when someone does a direct booking with you as an individual, there's a lot of times the lack of trust because you're just a person. And you don't have all the what happens if I have an issue or need to resolve something, where Airbnb or VRBO can kind of hop in to all those things. So there's a lot of trust building in that. And through a landing page, we have to take some of that trust that is Airbnb or VRBO, and the reason they trust those platforms, and build it into the landing page, but you're able to shape your experience much, much more. So like Bill said, when Airbnb makes a change, you don't get a choice in that. They change how images are laid out. You don't get a choice. They change how the algorithm works. You don't get a choice. They change how the content gets laid out, how many images you can use, what's the structure of the wording of things. You don't get a choice in any of that. Airbnb has full control. And it really matters when you start doing advertising, when you start doing email marketing, when you start doing the off-platform things. Again, the platforms are search engines. So if someone's already on the search engine, you want to be the best representation, just like you want your Google. If you have another business, you want your Google ranking to be high and be accurate, because people are searching in that way. It's what Google exists for. But if you're doing email marketing, you're able to create landing pages that are specific for reasons. So if you have a property where, for example, all this is much more geared towards the summer. Like Bill mentioned, you can take, if he gets some really good video with the drone, you get some photos in the winter, you can focus on winter activities, you can build an entire landing page around Lodge 93 in the winter. And then you can advertise in groups and other Facebook places. You can do emails about it. And when someone clicks on it, they're seeing content specific to not just them as a buyer, but specific to the intention of what you're trying to get them to do. So you're not just seeing like Airbnb. I mean, you change some photos out for different times of the year, but for the most part, your listing is your listing. You're not like completely overhauling it for winter or summer or spring. You're changing some minor things here and there, but most of it stays the same. Or I could build a landing page that's spring, summer, winter, fall. I can build a landing page that's specific to specific activities or specific events or Glacier National Park. I can build all these things very, very quickly. That's the power of landing pages, because and I want to plug Market My STR, but obviously that's our preferred way of doing this because I can edit things quickly. So I can actually go into this exact landing page that is live and very, very quickly, using any landing page editor, you can be like, you know what? This one and this one, let's just swap these two. So I'm going to actually just grab it, and if I get to the right button, there it is. Boom. There we go. We just flip the order of these two. You know what? I actually want this and this to be swapped. I want the image on the other side. So I can hit it, boom, flip them like that. I have full control over each of the elements, each of the things, each of the buttons. And obviously there's 1,000 landing page editors out there. There's 1,000 things you can do for that. But you have the control over the representation of the property, of how it looks, over how it feels, over the words you say, the things you highlight, the key things you want your buyer persona to know. Your buyer persona is your fictitious representation of your ideal customer. Who are they? What are they like? What are their interests? What gets them fired up about renting somewhere? What the things that they want to avoid, or what don't they want to see? And so you have the ability to really, really control every aspect of it and very quickly be able to make edits, adjustments, changes, or duplicate this. I can go back in, and if I wanted to build a whole brand new landing page, again, Lodge 93 in the winter, it's as easy as duplicating this entire page. Boom, all the meat and potatoes of what I want are there. I can just change out some images, change out some text, and it's ready to rock for the winter. So there's a lot we can do when we have that type of control. And I know, Bill, one of our favorite words is something that's always frustrating for us working with outside vendors besides us, is the speed to be able to execute things. And that's a huge advantage we have as Kiva, Build SR Wealth, Bill Faith / Chris Wharton, is that we're able to take an idea from, yep, this is a concept, to this is a finished thing and ready for the world to see in no time flat. And while other people are still in the decision phase of should I, shouldn't I, maybe, maybe not, we already have something outdone. And even though it may not be perfect, it's able to start making moves. We can always fix, adjust, and improve over time as we learn along the way. And so it's a huge advantage we've always had. And being able to use the tools like Market My STR or build landing pages or customize things, we could, within literally minutes, have a whole brand new landing page out, and within an hour, probably have a whole new Facebook ad out for Lodge 93, for a specific event, for something that's happening in Whitefish, for something that's happening in the area, for a big fishing tournament, and build out these custom things to reach those specific buyer personas and specifically speak to that buyer persona with their language and their way, without all the clutter of all the other stuff kind of in the middle of it. So that's kind of the why landing pages. I wanted to kind of take some of these Market Mondays and break down some of those concepts that we talk about, because we say so many things so often. That's kind of the markety language. I want to break down some of those things to actually their individual parts and pieces.
I mean, do I need a separate domain name for each landing page, or can I put it as a page to my booking site domain name? So you just need one domain, and you're going to use what's called a subdomain for each one. So we would have, I guess we have booking.kivavacationrentals.com. Where you see where it says home right here, then that would say Dragonfly Lodge 93 Elk Lodge to replace home. And that's your URL extension on your subdomain. So you only need one domain name. The thing, Chris, that I think is probably the absolute most important thing that you mentioned, specifically about Market My STR, is the speed. And specifically, there's a big difference I want everybody to understand between Chris and me and you. Chris can go in and write code and build stuff. I can't. I've never written one line of code in my life. I can barely copy a bit.ly link and post it into Instagram or whatever it is. But the speed, and I started with lead pages even before I met Chris, and I love lead pages because I could build pages so fast. Then when Scott and I partnered on Market My STR, now I can do everything in there super, super quickly. And that time valuation is absolutely critical. So you got to have something that's easy. So if you're having to go and wait for a week or a month for your web developer who controls your website or does your back end stuff for you, you're on the wrong platform. And I'm not here to sell you Market My STR. There's a lot of things that you can use, but you need to use something that is fast and easy. And if you do need support, you can get it immediately.
Yeah, I was going to pop up a couple more. How many landing pages do you have per property?
One landing page, and then the overall website that Chris showed you. And we need to update that, Christopher. We got to get all the new shit in there.
Yeah,
But
it seems to be turned
just
on.
one landing page per property. That's all that you need to start with as a template. Veronica, that's a great thing about like Market My STR. I don't know if you remember or not, but whoever is, that template that Chris just showed you guys, you can go in there and steal it. Literally copy it and then just copy the text and update it to yours. Click on the video, update with yours. Click on an image, update with yours. You can use my exact templates that I use inside of Market My STR. That's one of the beauties of that. So there is oh man, I can't remember the name of the music festival. You said like at Whitefish, right? Use Lodge 93 as an example. There's a big music festival over the summer. So that property that Chris was just showing you is going to be about $1,400 to $1,700 a night during the summer. Well, 4th of July, that bumps up to around $2,600. And then it's like Under the Sky or something, a huge music festival. It sells out the entire city for 4 days. And then that's going to $3,000 a night. Well, literally, then I can quickly take my existing template, go like Chris mentioned above the fold, and then just customize that for that festival and leave everything else the same. And now I've got a targeted page and be able to deploy some Facebook ads to get booked early, right? So that's one of the things where your marketing ties into your revenue management. So I probably won't be able to get $3,000 a night if I'm still available, a week ahead of time for this festival. I probably have to drop down around 2,500, 2,600. So that's when I deploy my ads well in front of my average market lead time, so I can be at the super high rate, put some ad dollars behind it, and get it booked before I get inside of that lead time and have to start worrying about occupancy. So revenue management ties into your marketing strategies.
Yep. And it's as easy as, so unlike Airbnb where you only have one, there's no limit to how many landing pages you can have. So you just duplicate it and make changes, and now you have one for that music festival. Most music festivals happen every year, so you don't have to redo that every year. You just update it with new content. Fall, winter, spring, special event, compression event, fishing tournament where it's on Lodge 93 or some other thing that might happen that's unique to the area. Ski season, specifically talking about that. So you just duplicate it, make some modifications to it, make it super specific to that individual buyer persona, and able to knock them out super, super fast.
Agreed. Is it bad to then send them to VRBO or Airbnb, or do you absolutely want your own booking widget? So I'm going to answer the second part of that first. If you look at some of the other PMSs out there that don't have booking widgets, so what you saw on that Lodge 93 page, we use OwnerRez. It's one line of code that Chris copies and drops into an HTML box, and it basically creates what's called an iframe, a website inside of the web page, a web page inside of a web page. And that's why they can book directly on that page. No book now button to leave and to go to someplace else, right? That you have to have them book on that page. If you don't, you're going to lose a ton of conversion. I would not send the traffic to Airbnb and VRBO. You want to own that customer. Now, how you leverage that is super important to the effectiveness of your organic social media, your email marketing, your paid ads that you're going to run. If you're running a paid ad, you only have one choice to be able to send them to, and I would send them to your direct booking site. If you're doing social media, if you're doing my buy, sell, trade group strategy, if you're doing email marketing, then I would highly recommend giving the customer, especially if they're cold traffic. They've never stayed with you. They've never downloaded, the 5 best restaurants in your market from you. They've never, had any relationship with you. That's the definition of cold traffic. I would give them all three. Give them the opportunity to go to VRBO, go to Airbnb, and to go to direct bookings. Now, there's going to be people out, oh my God, I got to have them go to direct bookings. I make more money or whatever. I don't give a fuck what you want them to do. What you need to do is give them the option, right, Chris? Mm-hmm. So if I say, Chris, we're going to dinner, and you know what? 4 years ago when you hated sushi and fish, so you started hanging out with me, and I tell you we're going to seafood, you wouldn't say anything, but you're thinking, man, I wish Bill would have chosen a steakhouse, right? So if he had the opportunity not to go, he probably wouldn't go. It's like me saying, hey guys, you know what? We're gonna stop this right now. Jump over to our YouTube channel and we're gonna restart over there. You're making me move off of your direct booking website and go someplace else to book. Your conversion rate tanks when you do that. Give them the option to trust and verify you because they know the Airbnb and VRBO is legit. That's why I include those links. I hope they don't book there. But if they do, I'm perfectly fine with that, right? I'm still going to get their information, through owner res. I'm not worried about that. Then I can own the customer later after they book. I'll sync them into Market My STR and they go into my 200-day email funnel that you guys have access to inside of Market My STR. So I'm not really worried about that. A lot of people are trying to drive everything to a direct booking site and you're losing money because a lot of people think that you're sending them to a spam site, right? Oh, I don't trust this guy. I don't know him. I mean, how many times do you walk up and down the beach in the Caribbean and people are trying to sell you stuff and it's marijuana or it's knockoff jewelry, or you're walking around Little Italy in Chinatown in Manhattan. Oh, look, hey, Rolex for $50. That's what people are skeptical, just naturally, right? I mean, I'm getting hammered on a Facebook post for literally about making $1 million a year in short-term rentals. Many of you know that's true. Many of you know you can do that yourself. But the skeptics are like, scammer, full of shit, whatever. Everybody just thinks negatively right off the bat. And it's the same thing about going to your direct booking site when there's no relationship.
Absolutely.
What else we got? What is this?
There you go.
Take it.
Running multiple Facebook, where some link to Airbnb, some to my direct site. The conversion cost per click to send people to Airbnb is half that of the direct booking site. So the interesting part is that Facebook takes into account, I want to get super nerdy into the way that the algorithm on the ad side works, but Facebook takes into account what happens on the back side. So it's not just, okay, they clicked, they went to your landing page, but one, they have an API integration with Airbnb. So Airbnb is able to know a lot more data than the average company is. Most large companies are able to have conversations with Facebook themselves and have more direct integrations than we're able to have. Two, Airbnb spends a crap ton on advertising, especially retargeting on Facebook and other platforms as well. So when you go to Airbnb, you go to Instagram later, what's one of the first things you see? Sometimes even your own property or the property you were just looking at. That's part of the retargeting strategy. So because of that, that's why a lot of times costs will go down because of what's on the backside. They spend so much money and are able to get people back to it and back to it. And so there's a little bit of trickery when you're such a big company, you're able to work with another large company on special things that happen for them. That's why the cost per click and conversion typically is less for Airbnb or for really anywhere that spends a crap ton of money with Facebook. That plays into it more so than for the rest of us. But I say all that to say, I was in someone's ad account earlier today, and they had a click-through rate nearly 4% with a cost per click of 9 cents for a carousel ad. And one, I don't think I've ever seen a carousel ad be that low, but it just means that when you you do the right kind of targeting, when you find the right people and you're willing to spend a little bit of money, the ad was only $5 a day. He had nearly 1,000 landing page views just in a 2-week period. And so there's a lot that can happen when you do things the right way.
That's that might be the lowest CPC that I've heard of, to be honest with you. One of the other things on the back end is, remember, when you drive traffic to Airbnb, now you're competing against all your competitors. They have the ability to go, and they are going and looking at other properties to compare you. When you send them to your website, they don't have that ability. And that's one of the fundamental reasons that we use landing pages, sales pages, because there is no menu, there is no nothing except for either book now or leave and exit. And one of the things you should have is a pop-up, to recapture them if they go to exit and to leave, which you can do in Market My STR. Somebody asked, does Market My STR walk me through how to set up Facebook ads and where to run them? No, that is a software tool. It is not an educational or training tool. You can either go through the Facebook ad training. You can find something online. Chris, can you drop in the Facebook ad training link for them. So we have Chris and I have built specific Facebook ad training that we use inside of for my properties, and we've done for other clients in the past, to where you can learn how to do it exactly how we do for your own short-term rentals. And Chris will drop in the link there. But that is not what Market My STR does. What Market My STR does super good is it gives you the ability to do social media, host all your sales pages, websites, text message marketing, email funnel marketing, all that type of stuff, social media posting, have a phone number for your VAs and everybody else, host your videos. It eliminates the cost from everything else you need from a marketing standpoint, puts it under one platform, and makes it super easy. Plus, if you do the white glove setup, they will set up everything for you. And then if you want to have your website built or you want to have your sales pages built, we've just partnered with one of my War Room members that owns STR Digital. They will go in and do all the marketing for you behind the scenes. Or you can go to Kenny Bedwell and my virtual assistants, STR VAs, and get a VA. There's a lot of options that you have to be able to manage all that stuff. And then Chris just dropped in the link. If you want to learn this is the absolute best training for Facebook ads. Chris and I have done this multiple times in multiple industries. I don't know how many millions of dollars that we've deployed in Facebook ads over the years, but I promise you there's probably nobody else in this industry that has. Yes, Market My STR can connect through StayFi, OwnerRez, everything else. It is there is integration, like direct API stuff that we're working on with other platforms right now. But you can use a platform called Zapier, really Zapier is what it's called, ZAPIER.com, and that will connect virtually anything, any type of SaaS software that's out there. They will all connect with each other. Market My STR is one of the most robust marketing softwares that's out there. It honestly can be slightly overwhelming just because of the fact that it does everything. And this is coming from a guy that lived for like, holy shit, 6.5, 7 years with HubSpot from the very beginning as they grew into a publicly traded company and the number one all-in-one marketing platform. So if you think about HubSpot, Market My STR, what you get for $199 is what I used to pay close to $2,000 a month for with HubSpot. So we just tried to make it affordable, make it easy, make it fast for you guys on the Market My STR side. And look, StayFi is going to be at the conference. Market My STR is going to be at the conference. Chris is with Mark Simpson's doing the whole marketing 4-hour workshop on Monday before the conference even starts. If you're coming, I would highly recommend attending that. Scott Hill, my partner in Market My STR, and I are going to be doing a breakout session on, I think it's either Tuesday or Wednesday. During that, Mark Simpson's going to be doing like an AI marketing, session. There's a lot of marketing stuff that's going to be happening at the workshop. Just one cool thing, if you saw me texting while Chris was talking about landing pages, just if you're a VIP, a premier, a diamond ticket holder for the SCR Wealth Conference, I just booked a kick-ass songwriter that's going to do kind of a what was that thing called behind the music, Chris, on VH1? Is that what it used to be called? Like a songwriters night, like Bluebird Cafe comes to our deal. So we have a private dinner for you guys that's happening at this really sick entertainment venue on Wednesday night. And I just booked a really kick-ass songwriter that's going to be pretty awesome. I'm pretty excited about that. That was through my boy, Chris Weaver, who's doing the opening night concert. Not even going to call it a party this year. That's going to be a fucking concert, which is going to be sick. If you do not have your tickets yet, make sure that you grab them at strwealthconference.com. Chris will pop up the link for that as well. We are literally 2 weeks away. 2 weeks. 2 weeks from today, the conference starts with the 4 workshops, the boutique hotels with Mike Sjogren. Revenue management is going to be off the chain with Tom Lyons, John On, Emil Sakal, Bill Faith, and Sean Moore from Vodacy. You want to learn how to do the 550-250 plan from the 2 experts that build massive super properties. With the only difference between Sean Moore from Vodacy and myself is I self-manage. He pays a property manager. And it's going to be really interesting. Outside of that, photos, video, optimization, market underwriting, all that stuff for you guys. What am I missing? There's one more. What's the other one that I'm missing?
Me and Mark Simpson.
Oh, yeah, you and Mark Simpson, marketing. That probably one of insane what's happening with those 4 workshops, Chris. I can't wait for that. It's going to be awesome. And then, just Tuesday, Wednesday is going to be off the chain. I hope to see you guys here in Nashville. If we've never met before, please come up and say hello. I want to give you a hug. I appreciate you guys being here. Just being in the Facebook group. Don't care if you're a member of the inner circle, mastermind, whatever. Just be sure to come up and say hello. That's it for Marketing Mondays, everybody. Have a great week. We're a few minutes over. We got to go. Chris, I'm going to call you as soon as we wrap this up. We'll see you guys next Monday.